Alrighty. Hello. Welcome to Hyperdrive Racing League. I'm your host, Biggie Smoke, also from the Championship Thrill, and today we've got a race on our hands here in the good old track, Zandvoort. So, Zandvoort, as a whole, a track that has been in the calendar for a long time. Albeit it's had its moments where it's come in, come out, based around obviously the years that it's raced. It's obviously had a couple layout changes too, and this layout is almost unrecognizable from the original layout of the 60s, 70s, and even early 80s. But that doesn't mean racing is any less good, and hopefully we will see something good today in this one as we wait for everyone to load in. I don't think we have a full grid here today, so knowing that, it's probably going to be a little bit less of a pain on my end to actually try and keep up with all the battling going on. But then again, you never know what can happen. Racing tends to throw a lot of variables into the mix, and you never know if there's going to be a big mistake, a crash, or an incident that could really offset a race as a whole. And so for many drivers, they're going to be trying to make sure they can maximize every little thing they can in these qualifying sessions in the race, and try to look for any chance they can to do something great here. So it's a little bit overcast here in the weather. A little cloudy, some fog in the distance too, so visibility is a little lower than optimal, but should be fine enough to set some laps. Just have to be a little more careful in terms when you're catching up to cars and getting into the way. And right now I see a couple cars coming out. I think Zach's coming out. Red Bull just came out. Both AlphaTauris coming out. So Klepa going to be the first driver out of the pits. Will he be the first person to set a lap time, though? That's another question in and of itself. 18 drivers here today, so actually we do nearly have a full grid. So a lot of action to be expected from this race. Now, Spa, of course, pretty controversial race, all things considered. The last race in the weekend, in the season. A lot of collisions, some big incidents, including one at Spa. One in Eau Rouge Radion into the Kemmel Straight that led to a big crash. But for the most part, these drivers are back, hopefully recovered too, and we should have a good race on our hands for the most part. So it's going to be big about what times are we going to see here. There are 16 minutes on the clock right now, so it's any man's chance to get a pole position here. And so there's going to be definitely some drivers looking to try and maximize what they can in this one to try and get a good lap. But Klepa is going to be the first driver to actually go around and start setting a lap. So he's going to be the benchmark setter and possibly the guy that you're going to be trying to beat when you're getting into this one. Now, this is a season in HRL that's actually thrown a lot of trips and turns, I guess is the best way to say it, especially for Mugello, as Mugello had practically dominated, or at least won the first 3 seasons. He's been actually having some big challenges this season, and so I definitely think that's going to play a big factor, as Klepa, I think, has messed up his lap. And so an Alpine going to come through. That's the Alpine of, I think, Tom, maybe? No, it's the Alpine of Ritzy that went through. And Gandon just behind that. We're going to go on board with the Red Bull right now as he tries to set his time. You're going to see the Alpine just up front. Gandon, of course, had a pretty good race in Spa, but it did kind of fall apart near the end with a lot of the things that happened. In fact, a few people had some good races. Sir Angel found himself on the receiving end of another tire blowout, too, which did not help him. As Gandon now going to set the fastest lap right now, 1:08.58, the time to beat. MKKJR, Vic, both Aston Martins going 2-3 in the 1:08.700 range. And now Peak Racing going to come through, 1:08.518. and really try and put a stamp on these times. And then Sashing comes through, 108.411, and the times are coming in fast now. And with that in mind, that is something to be watching out for in this race, as now Alfio Jones coming around through the final bend, going to come across the straight, 108.506, going to be enough to put him into P3. Sir Angel in second with that 108.479. So a few drivers still left trying to set laps. Michelle now in Sector 1. There's a McLaren in front. A lot of lap traffic. It's a short track. Zandvoort is a fairly short track. And with that in mind, that is something to be very considerate about when you're on quali laps. It's very hard to get the space you need to try and maximize the time in a quali lap, because you're trying to avoid people left and right, especially when you have a full track of like 18 plus cars on it. So it just makes it a very difficult track to get around on. As there's now some water starting to come onto the track, we've got some rain. There it is. So a weather change is in imminent effect, meaning that these drivers gonna need to get these laps in soon, because there might not be much quali session left to run. That's why everyone was rushing out of the pits. They saw it in their forecast. Michello 108.962, not going to get a time that he would have liked out of that, and that's probably the only chance he's going to get a time like that. Apparently Julian Palmer's here. I was not expecting that. We got Jay Palmer F1. Hopefully that's not Julian. No, I'm just kidding. And now we got PLG Global. Sorry, just PL Global, not PLG Global. PL Global, one of the few left to set a lap time. Basically, everyone else has set their lap time, so I don't imagine anyone else will be going out to, say, set any more laps or really try to improve on a lap. They might go out maybe to get a couple practice laps in, especially if the race is to be confirmed in this wet condition. But I highly doubt there will be anyone coming out in this one, so I definitely think, for the most part, we're probably going to be seeing that's PLG 111. There you go. So the water is collecting on the track. Lap times are not coming through properly. Kleipa going to have to try and contend with this wet track, but I doubt there's going to be much coming out of it, and it'll probably be maybe barely enough if he can get past PLG. But it definitely won't be in the 109s, I don't think. It'll probably be stuck in the 110 range. And with that in mind, that's probably going to be a big detriment to his race strategy. But unfortunately, that is just what the qualifying session has brought. And if you didn't get your lap done immediately, there was no chance you were going to get your lap done, at least in a competitive time frame. And so now here comes Kleipa. Sashing going to be, I think, taking the pole, provisional pole, but I do think it will be the full pole at a 108.411, as now other drivers retiring from the session. Bless me. My bad. Sorry about that. Something went up my nose. But anyways, yeah, there we go. All the retirements are coming in slowly but surely. Now here comes Kleipa coming across the line, 113.148. So yeah, weather's too bad to set a good lap. Drivers will probably be retiring now. There's really no point in trying to stay out on the track or wait this rain out, because even if the rain is to end soon, chances that it dries slim to none. So for the most part, this is the qualifying session said and done. And so our grid really is as follows. Sashing going to be starting in pole with a 108.411, with Sir Angel. Marino actually on an outlap, although back into the pits immediately once they realized how wet it actually is. But our grid is as follows. Sir Angel will be starting P2, 108.479, very close time. And as we see Jay Palmer almost make a big mistake there, could have damaged the car, a little slip, not that there was much going for this lap anyways. P3, Alfio Jones, 108.506. Peak Racing going to be really close in fourth for 108.518. Gandon fifth with that 108.58. Vic Wick sixth. MKKJR will be seventh. So both Aston Martins starting very close to each other. Same with both Alpines, as they are 8 and 9. Marino will be P10. Then row 6 will consist of Denine and Michello, who are 11-12. 13th and 14th will consist of Zach and Tio. 15th, Adrian. Jay Palmer, 16th. PLG, 17th. And Claypo will be starting last place, as these conditions clearly make it impossible to do anything now. So I will be back after a scheduled washroom break, because I already gave you your grid rundown. I am back from my scheduled washroom break. And just waiting on Michello at the moment. So not too much action to really say going into this quality session, of course, but again, there wasn't much to be expected, especially with the rain coming in and, well, the track's soaked. But we'll see what conditions look like for the race, because that will make a big difference. Some drivers tend to be a little bit better in the dry, some maybe get advantages in the wet. If it's a wet race, could work for some drivers for sure. So, the grid, it's actually quite an interesting one, all things considered, especially considering basically everyone had to only one lap to set it. And so I do think the grid may have been a bit different if there were more laps. But with this is going to actually, I think, provide some interesting racing. And I definitely think it's going to put some drivers into interesting positions, too. So how will these drivers manage when they have to go 36 laps against each other on a track that's a little more thin, and a track that's as short as it is, where we may see lap traffic become a problem if there are incidents or anything that results in said lap traffic being a possibility. So it's something to really think about in a race like this. It's something I think all these drivers are going to be considering deep down in their minds when they decide if and whether or not they are going to be competitive in this race. So 5 minutes 30 left here on the clock. Just running it out, I guess. But regardless, we're just waiting on Michello right now. I don't know if he's retiring or if we're just kind of waiting on this clock to run out. But all right, there we go. All right, so Already went through the rundown on the grid, but the repeat Sashing starting P1, that 108.411. Sir Angel starting P2, 108.479. We'll have Alfio Free Jones in P3 with that 108.506. And that will make up the top three, and just a few of the drivers behind. Peak Racing P4, Gandon P5, Vickwick P6. That'll make up your top six. MKKJR, Tom, the row behind, and the row behind that will be Ritzy Marino. The 9 and Michello will line up row 6. Zach and Tio will line up row 7. Adrian Palmer will line up row 8. And PLG and Claypa line up row 9. So I guess we'll just have to see what this race will bring for us. So, 36 laps on the historic Zandvoort. A track that's been in F1 for a long time, albeit gone through many layout changes, with the modern layout being almost unrecognizable from the original layouts back in the 60s. But what will the quality of racing be like in this one? That's something we'll see in just a few moments' time. Five red lights, and we are racing here in Zandvoort. So Sashing, P1, we got Sir Angel coming up behind. Now it's going to be side by side. Peak Racing down the inside of Alfio Free Jones. He's trying to hold it around the outside right now, but Alfio Free Jones going to hold on to P3. We got the Aston Martin of Vickwick now looking at the back end of this battle as we watch Peak Racing trying to go out of Alfio Free Jones. Alfie going to be able to get a better exit, and now he's going to start to run away a little bit on the straight. Has some slipstream from the car ahead of Sir Angel. And right now, that Ferrari's in an Alfa Romeo sandwich. Sashing trying to build up a bit of a gap right now and try and get out of the way. He's someone who doesn't have a race win in his diction right now. He doesn't really have a race win in that journal right now in this season. So he's someone looking for one. He's hungry for a win. So he's going to be looking to try and get an advantage in this race and try and build up that gap early to get those cars behind out of his DRS zone. So now, Peak Racing, currently P4, behind Alfio Free Jones. Vickwick holding on to P5, trying to build up that gap to his teammate right now, in fact. And so Gandon in P7 right now. He's just behind. And in fact, I think Marino there has to move to the side because Michello now trying around the outside, side by side. Don't want to make any contact. Michello backing out, deciding better of that move. And might be looking for it at a different point in the track, but he's definitely someone who's going to be looking for an opportunity, as Ritzy's going to make a big mistake there, get a little squirrely on the curb, and so Marino's going to be let through. Up into P8 now goes Marino. And so now Gandon, P7, Marino, P8, and Michello P9, so so Marino's now finding himself in a Red Bull sandwich, albeit I don't know if he'll be there for long because Michello is looking very aggressive right now. He wants to get these early overtakes done as soon as possible, otherwise he's going to lose that gap to the front, and as someone who right now doesn't have a race win, he needs these positions very early on if he wants to keep that championship dream alive and a possible chance to become a four-time here. So now the lap time's coming over. Peak Racing Marino 1:11.486. He is actually going to set the fastest lap right now. So Marino actually looking to have some fairly good pace right now as he's now coming on to the back of Gandon. We're going to go on board with the Williams driver that's wearing a Ferrari helmet for some reason. That's pretty funny actually. But oh, that is the trail of the highest order there. So Marino losing out a bit to Gandon. Gandon seemingly a little bit faster, especially with the slipstream of MKKJR. Now, Marino does seem to be a bit quicker though in that second sector, and I definitely feel that's where a lot of his strength comes in that car. He might be running slightly higher downforce, and so that explains why he may be losing some of that. Oh, as he gets a little snap oversteer there though. And that allows Michello by. That big snap oversteer there, and Michello gets through on that. Oh, it was a close one. He does save it though. It was a good save. Thankfully, he did not let that car get around too much. Otherwise, we would have had some bigger problems rather than just a tiny little snap oversteer. As Michello now dropping the fastest lap down to a 1:11.333. So, both Red Bulls running 7 and 8 right now. Gandon, I think, definitely has a little more championship priority over his teammate right now. As he tries to go down the inside there, takes a little look on MKKJR, but MKKJR going to hold just a little bit more outside, maintain his line to maintain his pace. And so a smart move by MKKJR, as he's not trying to fall into any tricks that Gandon may be trying to play on him to get around. So a lot of drivers are starting on the hard tires, something I'm noticing. It seems to be a big factor in this one, and I think it's definitely going to be an important one. We got a couple on the softs, though. PLG and Claypa on the softs, and we also have quite a few on the medium tire, too. So it's a big mix of hard and medium, so strategy offset is definitely going to be interesting. Hindsight, I think the hards definitely have a little more open choice in what they want to do with their strategy, because they could try and go from hard to soft, or they could go hard to medium. Regardless, they're probably going to end up on the faster tire. Now, the medium runners have their own little interesting story to try and play out. As Sir Angel on the back of Sashing now. Sashing not able to get that distance made to really hold off that Alfa Romeo and get out of its range. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is those hard tire runners have a very open window. Those medium tire runners have a window of their own, and really what the medium tire runners are probably going to be trying to do is get onto the hards. So they're trying to make up these positions quick on a lot of the guys that started on hards in an attempt to try and pass them early and get through. Now, soft tire runners, this is an interesting one, because either they're planning to go soft to hard, or they could be waiting for a safety car. That could be very possible. If they feel they can hold on to these soft tires long enough, then you could theoretically go onto a medium. And if you have the ability to hold on to your tires as long as possible, you very well could put yourself in a good spot in this race. But that is something that will remain to be seen, and it's going to be something that's going to need to be figured out. Will those riskier tire strategies work? Or is the harder mediums, will that riskier soft tire strategy work for those drivers and maybe get them a couple positions or even points? Or will the hards and mediums ultimately run dominant? It's PLG on the back of his teammate right now, Jay Palmer. He's one of the ones running that soft tire strategy that I was talking about. And so he's on the grass, though. I don't think that's going to be legal. He gets through. He doesn't have to give back the position, but that was an off. Never mind, he does. And so he gives back the position there to Jay Palmer. And yeah, that was an off-track overtake there, catching a lot of grass. So that was a little lawn mowing trip right there. Probably going to have to pay him a full 9-to-5 wage there for that one. Unfortunately, this race is kind of a DRS train right now. MKKJR has fallen to quite a few positions. And Vickwick in P5, Michello opening up DRS. Two cars moving to the side, looking for overtakes. Michello around Gandon. Gandon on the outside. Got to defend from Marino now. Marino back into a position that he wanted to be. where he's fighting Gandon once again, and he's back in the position he was in, P8. Albeit with a very different sight, as now there's 2 Red Bulls in front of his face. Side by side, Gandon looking down the inside there. BRL Ritzy might find himself under attack there. MKKJR looking to get those positions back. He's on the hard tire, so it's hard versus medium. And as you can see now, I think the medium tires are running up on the hard tires very easily right now. But when they have to start pitting, will that medium tire advantage be completely nullified by when the hard tire runners go in and go to the mediums? Will those medium tire runners be able to get just enough work done at the start to gain some positions and possibly catch out some of those hard tire runners in the pits? I don't know, it's an interesting strategy nonetheless. I feel like the medium tires are probably being run by people who are a little bit stronger at saving the tires, but I really have no idea how this race is going to go. It could be anyone's. This Kleipa is going to have a, I think, disconnect there. And so, BRL Ritzy going to have a little issue there, getting a little too hard off the curb there. Little bump that's going to lose some time there to the car in front. But it's still remaining very close, and the DRS train is still huge. 12 cars. As Sashing going to get past, though, for the lead. Sir Angel down the inside. I totally missed that one. And now it's going to be a battle for first. Sashing has lost his first place position right now. So Sir Angel and Sashing in a fight again. Sir Angel is a driver who's had a lot of bad luck in the past. And so he's looking for a chance to possibly get that time back. Get some of those points back too that he lost, whether it be from tire punctures, etc. So he's got himself in first right now. Sashing gonna have to try and come back on him and try and impose his will and get around. As now a battle for first is imminent, albeit Sir Angel doing a slightly better job than Sashing though to try and pull away. Which makes me think that Sir Angel might be just that little bit faster here in Zandvoort. But Sashing's gonna have a chance here. It's not gonna be enough of a chance though to really make it work. And actually he might find himself under attack now by Alfio Free Jones, who takes a little look down the inside, sticks his front nose. Doesn't make the move, though. Peak Racing, on the other hand, is a driver who's had a pretty stagnant race so far. He's kind of been stuck in fourth the whole time. And he's wanting to get around, too, because an Alfa Romeo 1-2 would definitely help that constructor's standings. And he had a pretty damn good race in Spa for the most part, albeit was kind of ruined near the end with the pit strategy. But he does have pace, but he makes a little mistake there. Kind of slides the car out. Vickwick gonna try and go around the outside. Peak Racing v Vickwick, one on mediums though. He's gonna have a little more grip. Can Vickwick capitalize on that mistake though? And it doesn't look like he's gonna be able to capitalize this time. Maybe he will. He's gonna try and send it down the inside. Spin! Vickwick spun! Incident in the chicane. And so Aston Martin has gone around. So Vickwick dropped down to 12th, and both Aston Martins now far back from their original starting positions. For Peak Racing, he defended his position, but I don't know how stewards are going to look at that one come the time, too. Now, there is a possibility it could have just been the Aston Martin's fault, but that is something we'll have to see when the time goes on. And as for both the Red Bulls, who are basically haven't made overtakes and just kind of been stuck beside each other, this is perfect for them. Because if the front runners just keep messing themselves up or spinning each other out, then they're just going to keep capitalizing on those positions. So for the Red Bulls, this is a perfect opportunity. So now, it seems like the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo are doing an okay job at trying to leave those cars behind. This DRS train, I feel, might be bound to end at some point. I feel like Alfie's going to be the breaking point, as he's just struggling to keep up with it right now. Albeit he keeps up there. Bit of contact, though, with the back of Alfie, though. It's Peak Racing, as there's been some contact into the back of that Ferrari. Peak Racing looking for a chance to get by. He's getting really desperate now, looking around the outside. That's going to let Mugello through down the inside, though. And you see Gandhi getting a little squirrely there, just trying to push him as much as he can. Peak Racing going to fall into 5th place now, and now Gandhi going to have a chance to attack, as the Alfa Romeo Peak Racing just seemingly not being able to hold up the pace in this race. So if Alfio Jones P3, we got Mugello now. He's following the back end of that Ferrari, and he probably has a chance to take Alfio Jones at some point in this race. I mean, he's set up in a perfect spot, and now, of course, with what happened to both Aston Martins, and of course getting around Peak Racing now, who seemingly is falling off the pace a little bit, and just struggling. Sashin getting around Sir Angel now. And now Sashin gets around, does the same thing to Sir Angel. And now Sir Angel going to have to fight back for that 1st place crown. So the battle between these two keeps happening at the most unexpected times, and it also happens to be happening whenever I'm trying to conversate about something in the race and some of the factors. But so Sir Angel and Sashin still on this battle and still going, I want to say back and forth, but really it's not back and forth every lap. They're more doing very well thought out attacks and are being very methodical about when they attack each other, because they could just go back and forth, but swapping back and forth does bring its own dangers, because you do allow the other cars behind to really start closing in that gap. But Sashin there gets a really good exit through that corner and overall goes into it pretty fast, and that I think is going to help him hold his position for at least a couple more laps. I mean, when you consider how close the average driver is in this league, and just how close the field is in general, it's no shocker that these races stay for a long time, as Sir Angel gets very close there, but not close enough to make the overtake at this current moment. DRS train format of this race, though, really showing through in all this one, as drivers still remain very close to each other. As I think there's been a mistake by Zach. He lost a lot of time there and lost out to both the Haases. And now Sashin. It's a free 10th gap. That might be close enough for Sir Angel to make the difference here. Gonna pull to the inside. Sir Angel now takes the lead away from Sashin. And Alfio Jones might be under attack by Mugello now. Still maintaining very close proximity with his car. This is a race that is going by very quick. We're already on to lap 15. Before you know it, this race will be over. but it's still early right now. And Marino gets around Gandon too, so Marino up into P6 now. The Williams driver having a hell of a race right now. I do think the pit stops are going to be coming real soon, though. So that's going to be a factor to definitely think about in this race. Especially for the medium tire runners. I think the hard tire runners probably have a few more laps until they really start making those changes. But I feel some of the medium tire runners might be going in real soon to make those changes nice and early in this race. As Jay Palmer's going to retire from the session, there's been a crash. Safety car out on the track. There has been a crash now. And it's one of the Haas cars that has found themselves out of the race. Jay Palmer F1, the first driver out of this race. As Zach going to be given a 5-second penalty. And what do you know, the safety car actually came at a near perfect time too. This is a perfect time for pretty much anyone, regardless of what strategy you're running, to really decide to change the tires. Although for the hard runners, this might actually be slightly more annoying, just because running more laps on a medium is really not the recommended move. But for the medium runners, they might have just gotten a perfect break. And as I said, I was talking about the hard tire strategy, but I didn't factor in a safety car happening at the exact pit stop windows, I feel, for some of those medium tire drivers. And so with that in mind, I feel like a lot of those medium tire drivers are probably going to be coming in nice and early, looking to change on to the hards now, because they have the perfect opportunity to do so. Race will continue on about lap 18. But even then, I have a feeling most drivers are going to come in, albeit the change to mediums might be a risky one to make. But yeah, a lot of drivers coming in now. Someone's broken a board in the pits too. That's a hazard. Sure enough, drivers rushing into the pits now, getting those changes done nice and early. Some people getting holed up. Michello going to make a position off of that. Sashing going to be the real unfortunate one in that one, as he loses and falls all the way down to 4th. So Sashing going to be the very unfortunate story in that pit window, as he loses a lot of positions and had to get held back, I think. That or just did not have a great pit stop, because I do think that it's ghosting in pits. So Sashing, bad pit stop, loses a few positions, and so now it's Sir Angel leading the race with Alfio Free Jones second and Michello third. So looking at our field overall, you can see Michello up 9 positions from his starting one. And Michello is basically a driver of the day candidate basically every single race. He hasn't had the greatest qualifying pace recently, but his race pace has more than made up for it, and almost every time he gains a hell of a lot of positions a race. At least 6 minimum most races. Maybe 5, but regardless, he's now got himself up there. He's got his tire strategy complete now onto the hards, and he's in a really good spot too in terms of tire strategy. So theoretically, if no safety car happens, those medium tire runners may be in a good place by the end of this race. So it's going to be Sir Angel's job to get this race restarted. And he's going to be attempting to try and peel away from Alfio Free Jones as early as possible in this one. So that Alfie doesn't find himself with a chance to overtake him. So Sir Angel, very important restart. Because this could be it for tire strategy. And he's the one who's played is now playing the risky tire strategy, as he has to move to the mediums probably a little bit earlier than he would have liked to. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done. You could probably hold on to the mediums, but someone with Sir Angel's luck on the tires, I don't know. Very interesting strategy, considering how his luck has been this season. I don't know. A safety car will be in this lap. The field has caught up enough for the FIA to bring the safety car in. And so, Sir Angel about to get this race restarted. How is it going to go? Hopefully your brakes are warm too. You better have some warm brakes, otherwise this is going to be a bad problem. But now it's up to Sir Angel. When's he going to fully go down on the throttle here? He's delaying it. He's trying to catch Alfie off guard. He wants Alfie to be caught off guard. He can't risk a hard runner getting by early. So if that happens and the hard runner is able to hold on to the defense near the end of the race, the medium tire runners may be screwed, but I think Sir Angel going to get a decent start. Catches Alfie sleeping a little bit on the draw. And a decent start by Sir Angel, who's on the medium tires, which is the faster compound at the moment. It won't be, though, when the laps start tallying up and the tires start to feel those wear effects. So he needs to get this done early, and he needs to get away fast if he wants to win this race. Because the fact of the matter is, once the medium tires hit their zone, the hard tires might be half a second to even a second faster at some points. So those mediums need to be taken care of. But Sir Angel also needs to remember he can't overwork his medium tires. He's not a driver who's had good luck with tires in the past. He's had 2 tire blowouts this season, which is very abnormal this early on into a season. As Tom out, Adrian out, big crash, another safety car. There's been a big incident there. Adrian and Tom both crash out of the Grand Prix, and that's Tom's second crash out of the season, and it's with another Williams too. So Tom and Marino go around once, and now Tom and Adrian go around. And that's another big crash, and a second safety car out in this one. So, safety car out again. So now I think the medium tire runners might not be in a half bad position after all, because they can save their tires right now. So the conversation about tire saving ends very quickly in this one, because it's already basically done. Because we now know the medium tire runners can save their tires at this point in time. Because the race probably will not be restarting till about lap 23. Lap 22 or lap 23. So that's the second safety car, and a big incident's going to take out 2 cars. I did not catch that one because I was busy focusing on the battle, so if someone has some POV submissions or some clips, I would love to see that crash, because that must have been something to take out 2 cars. Regardless, I mean, they're going to have to send POVs anyways, because there's definitely going to be some incident reporting there. And now, sure enough, the hard tire runner's changing onto the mediums now. Michello going to find himself a 5-second penalty, though. And so that's not good news for him. And so Michello's season just gets harder and harder every single time. And also, speaking about that, the race is back on. Is the safety car bugged? Because the race is already back on. I just realized that. Safety car's in again. And so Michello unfortunately. So sorry for the medium tire runners. They're actually not going to get much chance to, hopefully that one lap was enough to at least take a good like 4 or 5% wear off the tires per lap. But safety car goes in almost as fast as it came out. And so race is back on, lap 21 right now. DRS gonna be activated in a couple laps time. As safety car out again, there's been another incident, or never mind. What is happening? So Sir Angel, P1 at the moment. Michello, he sets the fastest sector free time as well. So Sir Angel now looking very good on the pace, and he's 1.2 seconds up now. He's got himself in a really good spot. Sashing struggling to keep up with the pace on the hard tires. I don't think it's going to be worth it in the end if Sir Angel can keep this pace. But again, Sir Angel's luck with the tires could strike again. And D9 is also in a challenge himself as he wants to keep up with the Ferrari of Alfie. And now Gandon versus Tio. Tio trying down the inside. Gandon trying to give him space. They do give each other space. Clean racing between the two of them. Gandon's maintaining 9th place though. And Tio gonna be looking for a chance now. He's in the points now, so his hope in this race has probably been returned as now he's got points and he's got a tactical advantage on the mediums right now in terms of pace. Albeit quite a few drivers are on the mediums right now. But one driver who might be a little bit hurt right now is Vickwick, who's currently on the hards. And Vickwick gonna get passed by MKKJR. Vickwick, rear wing view. See the 2 cars behind him of Gandon and Tio. They're not close enough to be a threat yet, but I feel a couple DRS zones they will be close enough to be a problem. And so it's definitely going to make a bit of an issue here for some of the drivers in this race. And so Vickwick just trying to maintain pace in this one. He's got an interesting situation behind him. Gandon now closing in that gap, trying to close up to this one. Vickwick doing everything he can at the current moment. As Michello's going to retire from the session, something's happened to the Red Bull. Michello's out. And this season just gets worse for him as his luck continues to be bad. And Zach's gone too. Two more drivers are out in this race. Yellow flags out on the track. That's for the AlphaTauri who's fallen off. And what is happening in this race right now? Michello's out. 5 drivers out of the Grand Prix right now. Zach added on to that count. He's the 5th one out. And now this race seemingly a lot more interesting, and this championship battle just proceeds to get worse for Michello as he just is not having the luck these recent races. But Sashing now picking up the pace, trying to keep up with Sir Angel now, who might be losing it a little bit now, losing his touch. Maybe Sashing was trying to play the tire-saving game too, and I think it might be working for him at the moment. He's on the mediums as well, and so I think by playing that tire-saving game, he might have himself in a perfect spot here to challenge Sir Angel. I feel like that's going to be what this big portion of this race is. Sir Angel may have a bit of fear too. He's a guy who's had tire blowouts happen twice and not at high levels of wear either. So he might have a little bit of fear right now instilled in him that his tires may not last long enough. Is MKKJR going to get around D9 and Marino going to get around D9? Bit of contact. D9 going to ghost though, thankfully to stop any worse incidents from happening. But D9 going to find himself getting big time passed now and drop down to 9th place as now the Ferrari of Tio going to try and make a move. D9 still being ghosted. And actually D9 might be in AI mode. Looking at that. But now Tio up into P9.